Under the File menu, we're going to choose File, Place either linked or embedded. Basically, the difference is embedded means it'll actually bring it into your Photoshop file and it'll be part of your Photoshop file. Place linked will it'll embed or insert it into your Photoshop file, but it will still be accessible through whatever application created that piece of art. So in other words, if you know Adobe Illustrator or some other program that created that piece of art, you can edit it externally and it'll be updated in your Photoshop file. I tend to say place linked just as a force of habit, but feel free to experiment with either one. I'm going to say place linked. And then I'm going to go to my downloads and I'm going to choose that file I downloaded earlier. Okay, I'm going to click place and you'll get what is called a bounding box. That's this little rectangular shape here. At this point, it's in the kind of free transform mode or transform mode, so I can actually make it bigger or smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out on my screen here, and I'm going to go ahead and position it down here. And let's zoom back in. Remember to zoom, it's Command plus to zoom in, Command minus to zoom out. And while I'm in this edit mode, if I hold down the space bar, I get the hand tool so I can actually pan around my image so I can see it a little bit better. At this point, I can just double click and now it's free transform. Depending on the artwork you import, it may either be black on white or black on transparent. So to check that out, what we'll do is let's turn the background off. Now when I zoom in a little bit, notice the checkerboard is on the outside and as well as on the inside, which means it's dark or black artwork against a transparent background, which is perfect for us because that's exactly what we want. We don't want to have to contend with a solid background that we have to try to change colors or edit it or whatever, okay? Sometimes you luck out and get that. Sometimes you may not, be that lucky. But again, this is not brain surgery, so don't worry about if it's not exactly what you expected. Just get it as close as you can. Okay, if I turn the background back on, again, we don't want to use it with this color or this value because it's too dark. It's, especially if our background's dark. If our background was white, it's a no-brainer. You just leave it as is and you're all set, okay? But let's say we have a dark background or we have a dark area that this is going over top of. We need a way to actually show it lighter or white and not have to go in and re-edit the original file. So what I want to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm just going to do a little organization here real quick. I'm going to drag this down below all this other stuff. These are my poster text fields here, or groups. And then notice that this is our motion picture. What we want to do is we want to add a layer style to this piece of artwork, which will actually give us a fill, a white or whatever color you choose, but in our case, a white color fill. So under layer, go to layer style, we're going to say color overlay. It happens to default to white. If you wanted to change it to whatever color, you can change it to whatever color you like. And because it's on transparency, in between the artwork, it will actually show up only in the text here. I'm going to keep it at white and click OK. Notice I have this effect here, which is able to be turned on and off. But basically what that did was it gave us white text against the background. Now sometimes it's a little challenging to see the scale of something. When we're looking at our screen, this is a 20 by 30 inch final print, and we're looking at it on a smaller screen. So our tendency is to try to make it look legible, on this small screen. Well, it doesn't have to be, especially when you're zoomed all the way out, okay? So when you're zoomed all the way out, it doesn't have to be completely legible. So this actually might be a little on the big side. So what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit, go to my layers again, and make sure I have this selected. Now I want to go ahead and scale it down. And again, we scaled it down initially. Don't worry about if you need to go in and rescale it up or down, depending on your needs. Feel free to do that. Under the Edit menu, Edit Free Transform. Again, you get the little bounding box here. And I'm going to click and drag this. Notice that we have a width and height value here. Okay, that's telling us 6 inches by 1.25 inches here. They could probably go down to maybe 4 inches, and you can kind of give it a rough estimate. I'm using my fingers to see how wide 4 inches is, and so just rough it out. It's about 3/4 inch tall. That probably is plenty big, for this. So again, you can always scale it up or down as necessary. Don't do this because that's obviously way too big, but something this small will be perfect. So once you've got it to the size you want, you can either double click inside this box or hit the check mark at the top here, or you can even hit the enter key on the keyboard. And notice it says enter in the parentheses there. That just means that's the shortcut to commit to this transform. So I'm going to check that. And now it's in place. Okay. And so really that's all that's needed or all that I wanted to cover for this overview of how to use these assets. You're going to go ahead and repeat this process with other artwork or logos. You're going to repeat the process for any text you want, and so on. If you wanted to create a header or headline, again, just grab your type tool here, enter your text, and just like we've used text before, you can go in and type in whatever you like. We go to the character palette here, and or paragraph, and make it center aligned in this case. Change the character, and we can go ahead and make it as big as we want. Change the font to whatever. Maybe now I have to change the size again. The main thing, and again with these guides, is you want to stay within these guides. You don't want to go, with text especially, go out past these guides here. So once I have this situated, I just click the check mark. Bam. Now I have my big movie text. And you know what? You don't have to just do one piece of text like this. Stylize it. Make it interesting. Drag some images in here. Lay things out and rough things out. You can always move them around. I think I mentioned in the announcement, I highly recommend you sketching your ideas out first on paper. It's a lot faster than doing it this way. And that way you have some references to what images you need, what text you need, and so on. What else can I tell you? Last thing, key is save your file. Constantly save it. This little flowery shape is the command key on the Mac. It's the control key equivalent on the PC. Get in the habit of command or control S and save your file constantly. It may take a little bit of time for it to save, but it's well worth it, because if you lose your work, you're going to have to do it all over again. And I can guarantee it goes faster the second time, but basically you've just wasted a lot of time by not just simply Command S or Control S on the PC. Okay, that should do it for this. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a shout, and good luck movie postering.